Hey guys, if you clicked on this video, it probably means you're lonely, or you're not alone, ironically enough. You might not like how we do it, but we can fix that. Just listen to me for a few minutes. Now, if you guys have been watching my previous videos, I'm going through Maslow's hierarchy of needs, his supposedly every human need. We went through the first two, physiological needs, and security, which was the second need. The third one, this one's a tough one. Most people get stuck on this one. It's love and belonging. I'm sorry if I sound a bit nasally. I don't know what happened. I randomly just got sick out of nowhere. But yeah, love and belonging. Most people get stuck on this. There are a lot of people who have everything else, but they're missing this. And that kind of throws off their whole game. That's why there's lonely rich people. Everyone's lonely to an extent. Everyone knows what it's like to be alone. But the good part is, you don't really kind of choose to be alone. I'm gonna teach you how to find your tribe. That's what something Hamza used to say a lot, and I don't know, it got to me. I really did like that. It's finding your group, your people. It took me a while to find mine. I think I found mine. It took me a hot second, but there are a few things you need to figure out to find your people. The first one, it kind of relates to the security. You need to find out who you are. And again, it always comes back to the Bible. You need to remember that you belong to God. And not only do you belong to God, the Bible says you were adopted as his son or as his daughter. You are his child. He chose you out of the 99. And that's a weird phrase because it's not like he left the 99, but because the 99 were safe and you were lost, he went to get you. That's the biggest point, the most important point. It's that if you have God, if you have Jesus, you're never truly alone. Christ is enough to fulfill your needs, everything. Christ is everything. And sure, you might feel like he's not everything, but he is. And if you ask, you shall receive. So if you want everything, he will give you everything, as long as all things are for you or good. If God doesn't see that something will benefit you, he's not going to give it to you. There's no reason for him to give it to you. It's counterintuitive because no matter how much you ask for it, no matter how much you want it, if he doesn't think it's good for you, he's not going to give it to you. That's the biggest point. Now for the meat, I guess, what you guys really wanted to hear, I suppose. Next, I want to talk about social media and its effects on how people are mentally and how they socialize. Problem with social media is that a lot of people use it to live vicariously. They don't use it in the right way. They don't use it for what it's for, which is to connect with others. They use it to kill time, spend hours and hours scrolling, and they use it as a form of escapism. I don't think that's very smart, because I think the best way to escape is to build the life you want. You can't do that if you're wasting all your time on social media. And so if you have to, delete it. Delete Instagram, delete Snapchat, delete Facebook, even YouTube. For me, that's a big problem. But you should delete YouTube, at least for a little while, if it's impacting you. For me, YouTube Shorts are a big problem. It's better now. I deleted it. I deleted YouTube for a hot minute. And you get off the high. It's important not to live through that, because that stops you from living the life you want to live, making the friends you want to make, becoming the person you want to become. How to find your people. And first, let me go back to that. Find out who you are. And to do that, you can figure out your hobbies. You can look at what you believe in. You can see what you're like. And you can find people that complement that. Not necessarily they have to be the same, but that they complement it. Because I don't think it's useful for you to have people that are with you just to be with you because you guys are the same. Nobody grows in that situation. You need to have someone that complements you, that helps you grow. And I think that's partially why it's so important to find a relationship, because you have the man, let's say a stereotypical man, logic, reasonable brained man, and you have the emotionally intuitive woman. They each have their respective benefits. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but they both also have their flaws, their major flaws. The woman might be amazing at taking care of children, making friends, socializing, while the man is phenomenal at working, making money, fixing problems. But to make a family, there needs to still be a push and pull, so to speak, if that makes any sense. The woman eventually is going to have to learn how to solve logical problems, and the man is going to have to learn how to be emotional. It's inevitable being a family. And I think in that same way, that a husband rubs off on his wife and a wife rubs off on her husband, it's important to have friends that have something to rub off on you. Let's say you're shy, you don't talk a lot, you're nervous. Find a friend who's not nervous, who talks a lot. I guarantee you, you will start being more like them. Could take years, could take days, could take 2 minutes, but eventually you're gonna be more like them. I was watching an anime recently called Gurren Lagann. There's the main character, Simone. He's a, shy, awkward kid, the basic anime shonen protagonist, and then he's friends at the beginning of the show with this cool, older big bro character named Kamina. He's very outgoing. He's a go-getter, if that makes any sense. Simone sees as a man's man, if that makes any sense. And so as the show goes on, you notice Simone slowly acquire the traits of Kamina. He slowly starts to become more like Kamina. And finally, near the end of the show, it culminates beautifully. It's a very small piece. It might just be me nitpicking, but there's a day when they're both older, Kamina and Simone. They meet each other again after a long time, and Kamina is shorter than Simone. And I know it might be just me reading into this a little bit too much, but it's kind of representative of how Simone became, I guess, a better man than Kamina was. But the only way he got there was to reach Kamina first, and to do that he had to be friends with Kamina. So it's important when you're looking for friends that you choose someone who has quality you like or quality you need. That's the first point I kind of want to touch on that part. Number 2, again with the hobbies and interest. That's how you look for them. That's not how you choose them. That's how you look for your friends. Look for your people. Say you're a Christian, like me. The best and easiest way to find a group is obviously to go to church. I'm not saying all churches have the best people. I'm not saying all churches are perfect. If you're a Christian, a genuine Christian, you go to church, you will find others like you following Jesus the same way. And you guys will click almost instantly. I'm not saying it has to be instantly, but usually it is pretty quick, because you guys both have that mutual love of something. That same way when you find, I don't know if you guys remember when I was obsessed with video games as I was as a kid, but let's say you found someone as a kid who played the same game you played at home. I would get so excited, and that kid was my best friend for 2 minutes. I would be in bliss. I would be in awe of how awesome this man is because he has the same interests as me. And in that same way, you have that mutual love of Jesus Christ. And if you're Jewish or Muslim or any religion for that matter, for your own part on that, you'll find your people. You find a mutual love, and you guys connect through that mutual love. That's where I found my people. Firstly, I kind of want to talk about why it's important to have friends. Because for the longest time, I was like, I'm a lone wolf. I can do this by myself. I don't need nobody. And although I don't need anybody besides Jesus, I don't think it's healthy for you to be by yourself. One of the first things God says in the Bible is not good, is that man was alone. He made Adam. He made all the creatures in the world. He made the heavens. He made the earth. And it was all good. The only thing that wasn't good is that man was alone. And so I think even though he did just make Eve out of that, I think it also applies to friendship, because you kind of need that same-sex affection. Not the same thing as same-sex attraction. Girls have same-sex affection. Nobody says anything, but guys almost never have, at least male, genuine friends. They might have their boys that hang around, but they're kind of, usually, not always, they're kind of scared to have deep conversations. They don't want to talk about anything because, it's emotional, it's girly. We can't do that, we're guys. Let's just drink beer and blow darts, pause. But it is still very important to have that. I don't think you should go around telling everybody your problems, but I don't think you should tell nobody your problems. If you have a wife, congratulations, first of all. But there are some things you don't have to tell your wife. Not that you have to keep it from her. It's just an extra burden on her. And in those cases, let's say you need a vent real quick, that's when you would go out with the boys and you would talk about it. Y'all can chill, y'all can drink beers, y'all can throw darts. You gotta talk about it. And so it's also important to not be in a bubble, because when you talk about these things, you get a perspective that's not just based on your experiences. You get someone else's. Let's say you're both 22 years old. You have 44 years of experience working on that one situation, as opposed to just 22. Because if you keep looking at it from your point of view, you're always going to get the same solutions. It's very difficult to find new solutions. But once you bring another perspective into it, who knows? You might find a 10 times better solution at that point. But yeah, it is a much better life if you have people to share it with. You find your tribe, you start doing stuff, you start going around, you start living your life. Sure, you can live your life by yourself, I suppose. It's not as fun like that, I've lived both ways. I much prefer the one with people in it. I just thought that was something you guys should know. Alright, Jesus loves you. Go out, turn this video off, go make some friends. I'll see you guys later. Peace.